Hello, today I'm going to tell you about a 2017 German drama called My Blind Date with Life. The plot introduces us to the main character of the film, high school student Solly Kalwat. Between his studies, the hardworking young man works as a waiter, dreaming of following in the footsteps of his successful hotelier uncle. Solly has already planned his life pass exams and enter the university for hotel business. But this decision does not please his father, an immigrant from Sri Lanka. All the guy's dreams shatter when he starts rapidly losing his vision. At the doctor's examination, it turns out the reason is a rare congenital disease, which later leads to almost complete retinal detachment in our hero. In order to maintain the ability to see, Solly urgently undergoes surgery, after which the guy retains only 5% of his former level. Despite what happened, Kalwat is not intending to give up his plan. He convinces his parents to keep him in regular school to get a certificate on a general basis. During this process, it's discovered that the loss of sight has heightened his other senses. The hero speaks aloud the segments given at school lessons and thus brilliantly memorizes the information, not without the help of his sister Sheila, of course. Achieving his desired goal and receiving a good student certificate, Solly sends resumes to several hotels asking to consider his candidacy, but he gets rejections due to his factual disability. After another unsuccessful interview, the hero resorts to deception. He sends a questionnaire to Bayerischer Hof, one of the best hotels in Germany, which opened its doors for the first time more than a century and a half ago and hosted royal individuals in its rooms. And the only thing is, he decides not to mention his own disease in order to get a chance to undergo comprehensive training in a 5-star establishment. A day and night, Sheila trains her brother to impersonate a sighted person, and eventually, Solly gets invited for an internship. The sister and mother travel with the hero to Munich, escorting him to the fashionable hotel and anxiously watching as Kalwat meets with the personnel director, Mr. Friedem. In a moment, Max Schroeder, another intern, who invents an elaborate reason for his tardiness, joins the duo. Fried looks skeptically at the guy until Solly saves the situation. He helps the stranger out, quickly becoming friends with him. Then, during the tour, the hero gets so immersed in the story about his uncle and his dream of working in a hotel from childhood that he loses control of himself, constantly stumbling and being distracted by extraneous noise. But fortunately, this remains unnoticed for the time being. Fried introduces the interns to the chef de cuisine Kron and the strict restaurant and bar manager Kleinschmidt, who will oversee the training of the newcomers. The moment the guys are left alone, Max tells Solly that the latter is behaving strangely. Kalwat demonstrates his deductive abilities and impeccable smell, guessing the reason for Schroeder's tardiness, and then helps him not to embarrass himself in front of Fried. A short interview confirms the expected outcome. Solly gets the job. Soon the younger Kalwats move to Munich, where Sheila helps her brother settle down and adapt to the new place. On the first day of training, 30 interns are divided into several groups. Max and Solly end up in the same team. But the first stage is to clean the room in 2 hours. And naturally, the blind guy encounters difficulties. Schroeder notices how his friend futilely tries to wipe the mirror with a magnifying glass. Even now, when he knows Solly's secret, he doesn't intend to turn his teammate into the management. Max helps the hero with the cleaning and also tells about how his father, who owns several restaurants in the city, deprived him of money and sent him to work at the Bayerischer Hof for re-education. Schroeder takes over Sheila's task and helps Kalwat adapt to the new environment. The duo learns every corner in the building, memorizes the names of all the cutlery, and practices Solly's movement. But due to his peculiarities, the latter often finds himself in curious situations, but manages to avoid being exposed for a while. Having successfully completed the room cleaning training, the interns move to the kitchen. One day, Hammett, an Afghan dishwasher, notices how Solly makes primitive mistakes while washing dishes, but assures Kalwat that he will not reveal his secret. Then the hero hears the voice of a beautiful stranger and falls in love with her, not even knowing what she looks like. By chance, the hero meets the owner of the angelic voice, Laura, who handles food delivery to the kitchen. The two enjoy each other's company until Solly is called by Kron. The hero needs to slice mortadella on the slicer. Inevitably, the blind man gets injured, causing concern for the chef. The man empathizes with Kahawat's situation when he learns about his problem, and instead of telling the management, he shows the intern how the device works. After this, Solly is disappointed to discover that Laura is in a relationship. Max decides to cheer his friend up and takes him to a club, where the hero finds a companion with whom he spends the night. But finally, the kitchen training is coming to an end, and the rookies move to the reception to try themselves as a bellman. Kahawat first gets confused and makes mistakes, but then shows his best qualities and even excels. Kahawat becomes the life of the team, helping his colleagues in every possible way. For example, Hamid, who wants to resume his medical practice but can't because of constant rejections from the immigration service. The relationship with Laura also progresses. After the blonde breaks up with her boyfriend, Solly invites her on a date. The time comes for the most difficult stage, working at the bar under the meticulous Kleinschmidt. Despite the utmost care and caution, the hero realizes that he can't cope with making cocktails. Max brings his friend to his father's restaurant so that he can practice and memorize the recipes of drinks. After a successful mission, Solly tells Shredder that he doesn't intend to confess his blindness to Laura on their first date. Max shakes his head disapprovingly at his friend's statement. Kleinschmidt has nothing to say after Kahawat flawlessly prepares a Long Island, and in the evening the hero goes on a date with the woman of his dreams. During the date, he learns that Laura is a single mother raising a young son, Oscar, but this doesn't bother him. The blonde is won over by Solly's attitude and invites him for a walk by the river with her and her son at the weekend. The next day turns out to be very exhausting for Kahawat. He wakes up at dawn to memorize all the liquor bottles by touch, and then spends the whole day working at the bar in an attempt to please customers. The situation is exacerbated by the senior manager, who makes the hero repeatedly polish the crystal clear glasses when the clock shows well past midnight. In the end, Solly's nerves give out and he snaps, receiving the first of 3 warnings from Kleinschmidt for his misconduct. Returning home late at night, the hero polishes a goblet to a shine, gauging its cleanliness by sound, and also begins to abuse alcohol. The day off arrives, and Solly goes for a walk with Laura and her son. They spend the whole day outdoors, having fun and playing football. Oscar quickly becomes fond of the unconventional adult, and in the evening, Laura takes the initiative and is the first to kiss Solly. Later, the woman talks about the reasons for her breakup with her son's father. It turns out that their relationship was ruined by lies. Kahawat keeps a straight face in front of his beloved, thinking that he is also not being honest with Laura. The hero returns home late and drinks alcohol, which causes him to be late for work. Kleinschmidt, who is conducting a briefing for the other newcomers, doesn't fail to notice the employee's late arrival, so Solly receives a second written warning. At the end of the shift, when the man sees 3 missed calls from his mother, he understands that very unpleasant news awaits him. It turns out that Solly's father took all the savings, transferred the insurance to his new passion, and annulled his marriage to his wife, leaving for his homeland in Sri Lanka. Mr. Kahawat has shielded his wife from work all his life, and now that the need has arisen, it will take time for the woman to find a job. However, she understands that the mortgage won't wait. Solly, without hesitation, offers financial assistance, but his mother refuses, realizing that she cannot burden her son with another problem. The hero gets a part-time job as a baker on the night shift and asks his sister to keep it a secret from their mother. Endless shifts and developing relationships with Laura tire the hero so much that he becomes dependent on illicit substances to maintain his usual pace and works nights at his second job. Max, observing his friend's destructive behavior, warns him that everything Kahawat has worked so hard for will soon collapse. Schroeder turns out to be a prophet. However, after exhausting shifts, Laura calls her beloved and asks him to look after Oscar for an hour while she helps her farmer parents with a delivery. Solly arrives at the playground and plays with the boy until he receives a phone call from Max, who wonders why Kahawat is not at the hotel yet. The hero realizes he completely forgot about servicing a wedding he was scheduled for and, in a panic, asks Schroeder to cover for him before Kleinschmidt. Afterward, he calls his beloved and is relieved to learn that she is about to arrive. A moment later, the man realizes he lost Oscar. The cacophony of sounds prevents the hero from focusing while he desperately calls out to the boy. Laura, horrified, notices Solly alone and demands an explanation from him. But the man has to confess that he can barely see anything. When Oscar is found, Laura breaks up with Kahawat, not believing that he lied and endangered her child's life. And not having time to grasp what is happening, the hero rushes to the hotel and on the way there takes a life-saving pill, which of course clouds Solly's mind. But the man drops a tray with glasses right in front of Kleinschmidt, and despite Max's plea to leave the event, he continues to serve the guests. This does not end well. Solly ruins the celebration, falling into the cake. And finally, the senior manager learns about his blindness. Solly loses his job, Laura, and will no longer be able to help his mother with the mortgage. His body is exhausted from the pills, and after a club visit under the dose, he stumbles on the steps of an underpass and falls badly. Only then does the streak of bad luck end. Waking up in a hospital bed, Solly sees his sister and cries bitterly, realizing that he ruined everything. Sheila comforts him and says that everything will be fine, as their mother found a job and can now pay off the mortgage on her own. After the cake incident, Solly comes to the conclusion that his blindness will be discovered sooner or later in any line of work, so he tries to get a job as a hotline operator. But he abandons this idea as soon as he finds himself in a stuffy office space. Max decides to support his friend and offers him a ride along a winding track on high-speed bicycles. They fall down, but the hero finally recovers. Solly goes to the hotel, apologizes to Frida and Kleinschmidt, and asks to be allowed to take the final exam, delivering a fiery speech. The other employees support the hero's request, forcing the management to agree. As a result, Kadavati performs brilliantly in the exam. At all stages except service, Solly still gets a diploma and joins the celebration on the roof while Hamadou manages to recover in surgery. Kleinschmidt invites the hero to train in his restaurant as a sommelier, but Solly no longer wants to work in the hotel. They open their own bar with Max. Kadavati and Laura reconcile, resuming their relationship. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. But don't forget to leave your impressions of the film. Bye.